Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Please subscribe.
We begin with a breaking news alert.
What I have to say tonight is this is very disturbing. Very, very disturbing.
Well, breaking news, 3 people killed and 2 wounded after a mass shooting in Southeast D.C. Right now, police are still on the scene at the intersection of Good Hope Road and 16th Street. That's where our Christian Flores joins us live. And Christian, this comes after a string of deadly shootings that happened early this morning. And the police chief just spoke minutes ago. What did she say?
Yeah, you heard the soundbite off the top of the show there. The inner voice, acting police chief Pamela Smith, still very frustrated with all the violence we've seen recently, especially today. And this is a massive scene that we're standing in front of. You can see a number of blocks on Good Hope Road, Southeast, blocked off. But the most jarring image, actually, if you take a look, are all the evidence markers on the ground. Our photojournalist Trevor Taylor telling me he saw at least 82 evidence markers on the ground. Those are typically used for shell casings, which means a lot of gunfire likely taking place tonight in this mass shooting. Now, what we know is 5 people were shot, 3 of them were killed. We're told of those 3, 2 were men, 1 was a woman. There are 2 people now in the hospital, both men. We're hearing that one is in life-threatening condition. But right now, we're also getting to the bottom of how the police chief is dealing with this and what action she's going to take. Take a listen.
It can't rest upon the Metropolitan Police Department to determine what works and what doesn't work. We need the community to be involved. We need you, if you saw something, we need you to say something. This kind of gun violence is not acceptable in the District of Columbia.
Now, this shooting taking place, as we were reporting on the 4 shootings that happened earlier this morning, very early this morning. 7 News on your side, talking with city leaders, seeing what they're doing to address this recent violence. Take a listen.
It wasn't like 1 or 2 shots. It was a lot of gunshots.
I was thinking 15 or 20.
Terrifying moments as bullets flew through the air in this Adams Morgan neighborhood.
I called to see where he was, and I said, don't come near here. Don't get out of the car right here. Where are you? Stay where you are.
The next thing I remember is him telling me to get down, get down.
This was the first of 4 shootings across the district in the early morning hours. Here in Adams Morgan, the shooting killed 2 people and sent another victim to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. In total, 7 people were shot across the 4 shootings in D.C. overnight, killing 3 people.
We've been, as neighbors, as a neighborhood, have been steadily complaining to the police and to the elected officials and to the powers that be that there is a burgeoning and growing drug dealing going on in this neighborhood in Unity Park.
What would you say to city leaders, police leaders, if they're standing here right now?
Let's expand mental health intervention work. Let's expand violence interruption. And let's really have the complex conversation about the underlying causes of violence.
We feel that not much has been done. And so it's been allowed to fester and it's been allowed to grow. Get on it.
I talked with Chief Smith and I asked her for additional resources for these areas, and she said she would work on that with me.
The D.C. Council passed an emergency crime bill last month that increases penalties for certain violent crimes and makes it easier to hold violent crime suspects in jail pre-trial. What's your response to people who say they don't feel safe and that the emergency public safety bills just aren't effective right now?
I am a mom raising my kids here in Ward 1, and I understand concerns and fear about safety. And the thing that I want folks to know is that Council passed an emergency bill right before recess, but that's only one part of what is going on and what needs to happen.
What would some of those measures be?
Well, in my ward, I put more than $5 million in the upcoming budget to address violence and crime here. And we need to keep making those investments in prevention while also ensuring we've got adequate policing and prosecution. My bill would expand the wages and the access to the cadet program, and it would expand our organically grown police force.
Back to tonight's mass shooting, you can still see a number of blocks still blocked off, so there's going to be a traffic advisory for at least overnight. But we're still pushing police leaders for more answers on this shooting, specifically what exactly led up to it and any sort of suspect description. As soon as we get that information, we'll be sure to keep you updated. Reporting live in Anacostia, Christian Flores, 7 News.
Christian, thank you. Now, as we've mentioned, violent crime around Adams Morgan is on the rise. Just take a look at this map from D.C. Police. Now, as you can see, since January, there have been more than 80 violent crimes. That is up from the 45 during the same period last year. And nearly 70 of those crimes are robberies, which is also up from the 35 during the same period last year.
A police line keeps people from shopping, from catching a bus across the bridge, from church. It's still a crime scene after Saturday night's mass shooting here that left 3 people dead and 4 others injured.
Let me be clear. This gun violence has to stop.
Acting D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith at another scene of another fatal shooting with all too familiar indignation and an all too familiar plea.
It is incredibly frustrating. We know that someone in the community knows what is happening. Please reach out and provide us with any information that we can in order to ensure that our citizens, our residents, are safe in their communities.
People are weary from the toll taken from the shell casings on the ground, from the violence here and elsewhere. A year ago, it was too close for comfort for Ernest Hainsworth.
I seen blood out of by my bedroom window.
Amid rivalries among groups separated by just 1 or 2 blocks, or illicit trade, or just grudges, things seem to be getting worse. And there are good people here, and those who are forced to adjust.
As soon as it get dark, you know what I do? I head back for home, so I can be safely, because you ain't got to do nothing to nobody. You ain't got to. Nobody ain't got to be after you. You used to be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
This shooting scene, a littered vacant lot, is next to the United Planning Organization and across the street from Bread for the City, organizations here to effect change on a road with a name rendered ironic by Saturday evening's carnage.
It's like they have no hope, so they be like, if I have no hope, why not? It's just do anything. I mean, it's like right now I'm at a loss of words because it's you just don't understand.
This community identifies heavily with the Lion of Anacostia, Frederick Douglass. You probably could have heard the gunfire from his front porch in the hills. And we asked folks who live here about his legacy and the reality here today.
Frederick Douglass was here today and see what's going on. He would be like, what was it all for?
Ernest Hainsworth was part of a group that's doing something.
We with a program called Men's Group.
They're planning an anti-violence march. There have been a few of those, and there have been more murders than marches.
The older people need to tell the youngins out here that this is not the way.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Please subscribe.